That's not the way I wanted to do it, but that'll work.
Still studying?
Yep.
Get smart?
Okay, so we are going to transfer in, and before we transfer in, let me set up what today is going to look like. So today, I've only got you for about an hour, which sounds like a long time when you say it out loud like that, but really we've got a lot of material to cover. And I really want to dive into proposals that you guys have sent me. I've looked at some of the ones that I haven't given you feedback for yet. I've actually looked at them, but I wanted to wait and have the group look at them together so that you start getting accustomed to seeing other proposals as a way of training your eye on what you're looking for, right? So that's one thing I want to do. We need to dive into stairs today, and we need to at least get some stair terminology in our head before Stair Tech comes on. Stair Tech, it is now 1:02. Stair Tech is going to come on. They'll end up being on just a couple of minutes before 2 o'clock. And when they come on, I will give them the floor. Now I'm just going to tell you now, when Stair Tech comes on, they are going to move really, really fast, which is fine. I mean, that's, I have no problem with fast, but you guys are going to absolutely have to interrupt them, stop, slow down, repeat that, whatever you have to do to be able to absorb what it is that they're covering. Okay. And don't hesitate. If you know, they don't mind being interrupted. The reason they move as fast as they do is because they're doing these not only for floor coverings, but they're doing these for other companies, and they're doing a lot of them. So what ends up happening is they just get accustomed to moving fast. That's all, because they've got to get through a lot of material. All right, so because we're going to be short on time, I want to do a very, very fast transfer in. I'm just going to go down the list here. And I do want you to answer, what is the most significant thing that you learned in the last week? What's the most significant thing? And it may not even be that terribly significant. It might be, oh, I learned that a vapor barrier should cost 35 cents a square foot. Whatever it is, I don't care. It doesn't have to be like, you know, big picture stuff. Just what is something that you picked up on in the last week that, yeah, I need to take that with me. So Donovan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think the best thing I learned is I learned how to navigate Salesforce pretty well. I was struggling, so that was a good one for me.
Good. Mutu.
Yes, I learned many things, and few of them, stick in my mind. For 1,200 square feet, it roughly works out $1.25, on top of your mind. If you're quoting a customer, just get an idea that it costs $1.25. If your margin is 40%, that is a good thing, so that I can roughly measuring the square feet, I can guess what it's going to cost customer.
There you go. Good. Let's see, Mark Baldwin.
Let's see. I started to set up some competitive shops, and one of the sites that I went on, which looked like this really snazzy site, the technology didn't work at all. And so, like, I think for me, just making sure that our technology is spot on and working, we're investing properly in it, number one. And then number two, that this company says, the other company I set up with says they make LVP locally. And I really want to push the buttons on the person gets here on Monday to see if that's true or not, because I don't know if I believe it or not, but we'll find out.
Good questions. Good questions. All right, Mike Balthazar.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said, Arlen. You gave me some feedback about the pricing, and I actually talked to Janet, like, how often do you update these things? And she said not often enough. So it was a good that you brought that up, because I could get with her and try to tighten those numbers up.
Good. Let's see, Mommy.
Hi everyone. What I learned this week, the benefit, the feature, and the advantage of hardwood laminate and luxury vinyl.
Good. I love it. Let's see, Liz Edwards. I saw Liz.
Unstack my
There she is.
yeah. Sorry, I tried using the space bar and it just was not unmuting me. So what I learned, I did a quote on my friend's house, which had hardwood floors, and it was like this really big living room. And I really thought with real hardwood you could put LVP on top of it, but apparently you can't. So when you do a quote for that, it's really darn expensive to remove hardwood. And so as I was quoting it, I was like, there's no way in reality I would ever get this bid, because who's going to take perfectly good hardwood, rip it out, and put LVP in its place? So I learned you can't put LVP over hardwood.
So
I thought you could. I thought I saw something on one of the videos that I watched
Okay.
Is it
for
maybe
you that said
some of
you
the
can do that.
So
some
let
of the
me
kinds maybe?
all
I
right,
was
so let
looking
me
at that
share.
spreadsheet Arlen sent.
Yep. So let me share with you a why behind that. Okay. I'm glad I'm recording this, because when somebody comes and asks me again, I get asked this question 14,000 times a day. All right. So I'm going to answer it very clearly, with as much vagueness as I possibly can. If you're looking at an engineered hardwood floor that has been glued down to concrete, so you have concrete and then engineered flooring, concrete and hardwood flooring, you absolutely cannot, under penalty of death, you absolutely cannot put LVP over that. And the reason for it is because moisture comes up from the concrete, it gets into the engineered hardwood, and today it just evaporates out, no problem. But when you put plastic, and remember, LVP is nothing but plastic. When you put plastic on top of that, now you're trapping moisture inside of it, and that hardwood can rot, mildew, mold, everything, right? Everything that you can imagine with water and wood can happen underneath it. Okay, now, having said that, what about if you're on a plywood subfloor? Well, in some cases you can get away with it, in some cases you can't. So now you have to decide, as an independent business owner, what level of risk are you willing to take? So if you happen to be on the second floor of the house, I'm on the second floor. Well, I know the first floor is air conditioned, it's not a problem. The humidity is under control. You can probably get away with it on the second floor, because you're not worried so much about moisture getting trapped in that wood. Well, what if you're on the ground floor and there's a crawl space underneath that floor?
Mhm.
Well, now it gets tricky, because now you're wondering, is there a proper vapor barrier under the house? And now are you going to become a vapor barrier expert to figure out whether or not the humidity is being controlled under the floor to know whether or not you can do the floor? So I'm going to share with you, because like I said, I get asked this question over and over and over again. So this is a group me for my class. And Amy Schertz, who is absolutely killing it, says the cheat sheet says that you cannot install LVP over hardwood. Why? Well, this is why. This is why. This is a hardwood floor. LVP had been put over this floor, and it was over a crawl space. And actually, this house has a vapor barrier in the crawl space. But the the LVP trapped moisture under the floor. And yes, it's the kitchen, so that's the worst possible place. Not only do you have the humidity from below, but you probably have spills and stuff from above. And not only did this floor have to be pulled up, but there was some subfloor work that had to be done as well. Okay, so can you put LVP over a hardwood floor? In some cases, maybe you can, right? If you know 100%, you know that the area that's underneath it, the air that's underneath it, that the humidity is being controlled in that air, well, then maybe you can get away with it. If you're talking about over a concrete subfloor, then the answer is absolutely no, don't care. And absolutely not. And some of you live in areas where you can get away with it easier than others. So Donovan, you're in Wyoming, Fort Collins. I mean, the humidity there is 0% anyway. I go up there and my eyes dry out the minute I get off the plane. Okay, the chances are that if you're on a crawl space, you can probably get away with doing it, right? On the other hand, all these people in Florida, you put it down, and I mean, within 2 months, all of a sudden you're getting a call back because the floor underneath it has rotted out. Okay, so unfortunately, there's not a one size fits all here. And if you talk to installers and if you talk to manufacturing companies across the country and even into Canada, they'll all tell you the same thing. It depends. But what does it depend on? It depends on what kind of moisture is going to get in there. If you're on concrete, the answer is always no. If you're on if you're on a plywood or OSB subfloor, if you're on a crawl space, you have to determine what level of risk are you willing to take based on what's underneath it. And if you happen to be on the second floor and the first floor is air conditioned, fine. If you happen to be on the ground level and the basement is a finished basement and they keep the air conditioning on, maybe you can get away with it there. But if you're on a crawl space and you just decide, I'm going to take a shortcut and do it, probably not the best thing.
Okay.
And I would say this is a point, because all of your competitors, by the way, all of your competitors are going to quote, just put the LVP on top of the hardwood. So it makes sense to know this, maybe to get some of these pictures. I can put these pictures on your group me as well. Maybe save those and show them to a customer and say, this is why we don't recommend it. Because if you show those pictures to somebody and say, this is why we don't recommend it, chances are they're going to say, yeah, I don't want that in my house.
And even Arlen, if you put the vapor barrier between the layers, you might get a little longer before it visually shows itself on that top layer of LVP, but you're still rotting out, the original hardwood underneath.
You're still rotting out the hardwood because you've put plastic on top of the hardwood.
Yeah.
Okay, good question though. Good.
Thanks.
All right, let's see, Michael Pfefferman.
Man, actually, that's very interesting timing, because I would say my biggest learning is sort of almost the opposite of that. Arlen, you said in my my LVP and hardwood proposal video that basically because the floor was tile on concrete, that I could think about, instead of the expensive tile removal process, just putting the LVP over it. And it just made me remember there's multiple ways to do things, and you always want to be thinking through what the options are for making it easiest and least expensive for the client.
Sure. And I don't have a problem putting it over tile, because tile's not going to rot.
Yep, totally.
Good.
But and tile's also not going to allow moisture to go through. Basically, it's going to serve as an effective moisture barrier.
Yeah, depending on the type of tile. Yeah, certainly porcelain. Ceramic, not so much, but porcelain for sure.
So it could be questionable if it was a ceramic. If it was a ceramic tile, I might need to put a vapor barrier down underneath it.
Yeah, I might.
Underneath the LVP.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Let's see. How about Carly?
Arlen, just real quick question
Yes.
on that one too. That's only for rigid LVP that you couldn't put over
Yes.
tile? Okay, just making
Yep.
sure.
Now you could do a glue. Okay, so if you wanted to do a glue down, let's say you were going to do a glue down LVP over tile, what do you need to do first?
Embossing leveler.
Yeah, you got to make it flat. So you don't have to necessarily pull the tile out. You can put, you can put a self-leveling concrete down and level it. And that way I don't have to go to the expense. It's a lot cheaper to do a skim coat than it is to rip tile up. To rip and tile up is very expensive. So you could absolutely just do an embossing, a self-leveling compound, level the floor, and now, bam, I can glue right to that and not worry about it. Good. Let's see, Carly, you and Miguel.
We learned it's a really, really hard to get a business insurance quote, at least for us. It's taken 3 weeks just to get a quote back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very.
Miguel, anything new? Anything different?
Not really. Just learned about in the doorway how hot it can get, so it can cause the floor to expand and retract in different seasons, and what kind of underlayment you need to have there, so, and what kind of floor.
Good. Let's see, Jack.
Yeah, that quote I sent in for the project. It's somebody they're going to go with me, but yesterday I realized with that elaborate kitchen in their house how far I have to go. I got in there and got discombobulated. I've done a loan for the father who's living with my wife's friend, and he's a hard guy, so I knew he'd be on me. He's an old Irish pastor that has retired. I like him, but I said I know he's going to get on me. And but yeah, it was so much on the takeout and all that. I was like, boy, I would have lost this sale in a second. But it was a good experience to go through that and to have that. So, but anyway, you'll see my proposal's probably a mess there.
All right. All right, let's see. How about Zach?
So I think it was Miguel that kind of gave us this tip when we were in Atlanta, but I went ahead and tried it out. Went to Home Depot the other morning about 7 and actually met with with 3 installers. Got their contacts. I wasn't doing anything. I just talked to them down the flooring aisles, and they were, yeah, you bet. You call me when you're ready.
I like it. Look at that. See, it's not that hard to find installers. You have to know where to look, right?
That's right. Just turning over the right rock.
Perfect. Let's see. Who's next? Mike Hudson.
I'm off mute. Okay, so yeah, I learned that with all these pricing exercises that we've been doing with the inspired sales training and with the homework here, that practice does actually help you get more perfect. I can't claim perfection, but I feel really comfortable navigating through the inspired sales app on the tablet. Whereas when we were up there in Atlanta, I was thinking, I don't know how this can be so challenging, but it's coming on. It's finally catching in. So
love it. I love it. Good stuff. All right, let's see. Jorge.
I was going through the week 2 on floor U, so I learned in which scenario should I recommend laminate and when I should recommend resident.
You guys are ready. You guys are ready already. Good. Leslie.
My brain still isn't working from my test on Friday. So I learned that I could finally pass the test. So
yeah, that's what you're learning. Good. All right, let's see. How about Mike McPherson?
Yeah, actually, I'll call it a tie for 2 things that I learned that were really valuable. Number 1, Arlen, your feedback on my proposal with
the self-leveling process and the video, that was super helpful, and just what to look for as you're looking at the walls, and just being able to visually determine if you need to look at something like that. So that was helpful. And then kind of echoing some of the other comments, I think the additional practice, and in particular having to do the manual exercises with the calculations. I set up my own spreadsheet and went through the calcs, and it really drove home, kind of the behind the scenes functionality that the tablet has. So that was a great exercise.
I love it. I love it. Let's see, Max.
What I've learned, hopefully everybody else already knows, but heads up for y'all. Know how to work QuickBooks Pro before you open your doors. I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to pay people. For all I know, I'm paying Mark Baldwin. So yeah, that's heads up for y'all.
Mark's ready. All right, let's see, Andrea.
Well, too many things about flooring, but because of the exam that I have to take tomorrow, so my head was completely with that.
It's crazy. These state tests, they're nuts.
Yeah.
Let's see, John Neff. I saw him earlier. There he is.
Hey, yeah. So I learned that modular homes, which are a huge percentage of the market here, the big seam down the middle can be really tricky with click locks, and they can come apart at the seam.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Let's see, Scott Razoo.
Yeah, like a couple of people mentioned, all the time spent in the tablet. Arlen was very helpful. I'm much more comfortable with the tablet now.
Good stuff. Leandro.
Well, good afternoon. Well, many things I learn every week, but to mention one, start to work with prices, labor, and cost in real in my area. That is
right. Good. It starts to feel real, doesn't it? Good.
Yeah.
Let's see, Elise.
I'm in charge of scheduling some of the mystery shops for the Chicago Co-op, and I learned that they will check the owner of the property. So I kind of got myself in a little pickle because it's an Airbnb, and then they're emailing my personal email, which has my maiden name and my first name. So I didn't think it'd be recognizable, but now I think they found me on LinkedIn. So it's been a whole fun time. So I would say if you Google yourself and Floor Coverings International comes up, just think about a backup plan, because fake name won't work either.
Well, okay. So what I've done when I do a mystery shop at an Airbnb, what I will do is I will tell the company that I'm mystery shopping, I will tell them I'm not the owner, I'm the property manager. I'm working for this, whoever it is, I'm working for this Airbnb owner to get the floors done. But I'm the property manager for this house.
Good. That's good. I'll try that with the other ones. That would have been helpful to know beforehand. Thank you.
Let's see, Jeremy.
I've learned that there's not enough time in the day. I got to go to Louisville, Kentucky yesterday, and I hung out with Charles St. Clair all day. And so that was really cool getting to see, a day in the life of a business owner. Every day is going to be different, that's one thing that I love. I don't know, we need 28 hours in a day, I think. So
I know that's right. Let's see, Sally.
Now, this is small, but I learned that hardwood and laminate, you have to take it to the person's home and let it acclimate. I had no idea about that.
Good. Good. Linda.
Yeah, I would just echo a few things that everybody said. I think the more exercise I have in the tablet and back into Salesforce and syncing and doing things in both ends, even with the pricing and updating that has been super helpful, and learning that. I would agree. I had family in over the weekend, so not enough hours in the day. I'm starting to feel behind, and I hate it when I feel behind. So I'm playing catch up this week a little bit. But the other thing I'm trying to learn that I don't know that I'd learned yet, but as I go into some of the houses, just being sure of, is this hardwood? Is it LVP? Is it LVT? Is it tile? Or, and trying to make sure that I can truly understand without being able to pull up a corner and look at it, what the product is that I'm looking at. So I'm trying to get better at being able to distinguish that.
Good. Yeah, this whole time management thing. Entrepreneurs, there's a saying, and it's absolutely true. Entrepreneurs are the only people in the world that would purposely work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week.
And that's why most entrepreneurs don't wear a watch either.
That's exactly right. Just take them off. Let's see, Carla.
Hi. Yeah, the what I have learned, yes, Salesforce basically, and more about payroll in Canada, because we have been meeting with ADP. So a lot of the process and how it works payroll in Canada.
Good.
So that's what I have learned.
And Adriana, I think you're bringing us home.
Yes. Well, what I've learned is also about Salesforce. I had a delay in that in my training, but I am catching up. Then I made different exercises this weekend.
Good. I love it. Good stuff. Okay, so let's see how we're doing on time. We're doing good. We're okay. So let me jump in here. Now I'm going to move quick, but I don't want to move too quick. So at the moment in time when you say, hey, wait a minute, this is we're moving too fast, I need you to slow me down. Okay, I'm begging you to slow me down if need be, because it's very, very important that you understand not only the terminology, but you really understand the concepts of what we're going to do today. So let's see, from current slide. Very good. Share the right screen. And I'm in the office in Atlanta today, so I don't have the benefit of the whiteboard behind me. That's all right. We're going to make this good. We're going to make this good. Okay. So when we're going to talk about pricing hardwood stairs, we're going to talk about stairs. Okay. And specifically a hard surface on stairs. So in a week or so, we can talk about carpet on stairs. I'm not worried about that. We'll get to carpet, but I'm specifically thinking about whether it's hardwood, LVP, laminate. What are we going to do? And I'm going to start with the idea that we're going to put hardwood on the stairs. Okay. Now, before I go into the details of the stairs, I want to introduce a concept called a placeholder. A placeholder. What does it normally mean if something's a placeholder? in any context?
It's temporary.
It's temporary, right? Okay. Pricing for stairs in the tablet is a placeholder. I'm going to say that again. Pricing for stairs in the tablet is a placeholder. Just like the PGs are placeholders for a lot of the products, you know, we've yet to put in actual product names. I mean, some of you have played with it, but we've yet to put in actual product names. But your PG is just a placeholder. It's something to hold the place until you put in the exact product name. Stairs, pricing for stairs is just a placeholder. Now, the technology task force is actually, they're working on a current project right now to actually make stair estimating much more, let's say much tighter in the tablet than what it is today. But for right now, I just want you to understand that in the tablet, stair pricing is a placeholder. And here in a few minutes, I'll get into the tablet and I'll show you what I mean by that. So what do you do to actually price a hardwood stair? So the first thing that I want you to understand is we need to understand a little bit of terminology. If this is second nature to you, then the next 10 minutes are going to be really boring. If you've never seen this before, you need to ask questions. So when a staircase is built, construction will start with these things, and they're called stringers. And it's literally one board that's got these little notches cut into it. And then when you put it at the right angle, you can start to see the outline of stairs, right? So this is what it normally looks like for a home builder to start the process of building a flight of stairs. They'll put these stringers in place first. And then on top of the stringers, they'll put stair treads. What is a tread? A tread is the horizontal part. A tread is the part that you stand on. A tread is the part that you're walking on. And then the riser. What is the riser there for? Well, frankly, the riser it's cosmetic. The riser does not carry any structural weight. As a matter of fact, you can find staircases that don't have risers at all, and they're just open stairs, right? That's certainly, you know, that was a thing in the 70s, and it's sort of coming back now. But normally when you look at a set of stairs, you're going to have treads and risers. And then and under the stairs are going to be these stringers. Now, we're floor coverings. We're not general contractors. So you're not going to be putting in stringers. This is not part of what you do.
Forks.
Right? So this is not what you do. Instead, what you're worried about is the treads and the risers. All right, we're clear so far, right? Nothing new here, okay? So now a bit of terminology. What does a boxed staircase mean? Well, a boxed staircase means that on both sides, the tread is unfinished. It's unfinished on both sides. All right, so you've got a closed stringer. Well, wait a minute. Now that's confusing because that's the same word that you said this was. I know. And unfortunately, in the world of stairs, there's terminology that ends up getting, you know, used multiple times. And this is one of those times. So this is what's called a closed stringer. So these stair treads are just going to butt right up against that stringer. At the top of the stairs, you're going to have something called a stair nose. That's just a small piece of trim to then be able to merge in with whatever floor you have on the next level, whether that's a landing or whether that's the second floor of the house, whatever that is. There's probably just going to be a stair nose here. These are going to be full stair treads. And then, of course, you've got your risers. Okay, this is a boxed staircase. Here we have a picture of a staircase that's boxed on one side because there's a closed stringer on one side, or maybe it's just the wall, but it's closed on one side, it's boxed in on one side, and on the other side it's open. So you'll hear some people call this a return end. Okay, why does it say a return? Well, you've got your nose that comes around and then it turns and it goes down the other side. So this is a return end. In the tablet right now, this is it's labeled as upholstered on one side. Well, upholstered doesn't seem to make a lot of sense until you realize that if you were doing carpet on these stairs and you had, you know, all your spindles, all your balusters are right there on top of the tread, your carpet installer is going to have to upholster the carpet around each one of those balusters and eventually wrap it around that nose. Left versus right is always determined based on you standing at the bottom of the staircase. So if I was standing at the bottom of these stairs and I looked at this staircase, this is a right return. Okay, so here we have a left return. If I'm standing at the bottom of the staircase, I have a left return, or it's upholstered on the left side, or on the right side. Here I have the right side, it's upholstered on one side. This is a right return. Okay, left return, right return, or it might be upholstered on both sides. It might be return, a double return. It might be returned on both sides. Okay, so let's just very briefly, you've got your stringers on the bottom, you've got your treads and risers. If it's closed on both sides, it's called boxed. If it's open on one side, this might be considered upholstered on one side if you were doing carpet. If you're doing hardwood or LVP or something along those lines, you might call this a left return. You might call this a right return. Okay. You might call this a double return, or you might call it upholstered on both sides, especially if you were doing carpet. All right. Are we good on terminology so far? Any questions? This is just vocabulary. Okay. This is pretty common when you walk into a construction site. This is oftentimes what it'll look like. You know, here, you know, the carpenter, I know you can't really, I mean, you see the stringer, but you can't see the shape of the stringer because it's being covered up by some of this wood. But this is pretty typical in the middle of the construction project. You're not going to leave your stairs this way, but this is what it looks like. So I'm going to go into the tablet and I want to show you what happens today. And again, this is being changed. This is going to be changed in a matter of weeks, not months, but it'll be weeks, not days. So we got to learn how it is right now so that we know how to work it. When you put in a flight of stairs in the tablet, you're going to get 3 lines and only 3 lines. You're going to get a line for hard surface freight. You're going to get a line for a box. Well, you get a line for a wood stair install, and you're going to get a line for oak stair treads. But let me ask you something. If you were going to go over a staircase, can you get away with doing only the tread, or do you have to do the tread and the riser?
Both.
Yeah, you've got to do both. Okay, you can't do just one, you've got to do both. Well, the tablet is only going to show you oak stair treads. That's it. That's all it's going to show you is oak stair treads. So what you're going to have to do in your price list manager is where it says oak stair treads, you're going to have to come up with a number that represents what does it take for me to do one stair, tread, riser, trim, everything included, and just put that in the price of an oak stair tread. So I'm going to switch over to the tablet. You can follow me in the tablet if you want, but you don't have to. But I want to switch over to the tablet and just show you what happens here. So let me get to Zoom. All right, so if I just start a quick training task, that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a quick training task and I'm going to draw a staircase. All right, so I'm going to go to my draw button right away and I'm just going to put in stairs. Well, that's that bottom button on the left-hand side. So you've got square, draw, square feet, stairs. I'm just going to click on stairs. And when I touch the screen, it gives me a quick stairs image and then it immediately dumps me into the stairs menu. Okay, so I can give the stairs a name. How many stairs? Well, let's say that this is a staircase that goes up partway. There's a landing and it goes up again. That's fine, but I'm just going to, it's all the same size. So I'm just going to call it all, it's all one staircase. The width of the stairs. So what does the 4 feet represent? Excuse me, what does the number 4 represent? I've done given the answer away.
4 feet.
4 feet, right? Is that 4 inches? No.
No.
The first box is feet, the second box is inches. So maybe this is 3 feet something. So if I wanted this to be 3 feet 6 inches wide, then that's what it would look like, 3 feet 6 inches. By default, the riser is always 7 inches tall and the tread is always 11 inches deep. And unless you have some weird funky shape, then that's probably what it's always going to be. Just leave it like it is. All right, so we've got 2 options here. We have straight stairs and turned stairs. So what does it mean to be straight? Well, straight is what it sounds like. The stairs are straight. All right, so here's a trick question. Here's a trick question. Let's say that you have a staircase and you go up 6 or 7 stairs and there's a landing. And then your body turns 90 degrees and you go up another 6 or 7 steps. Are those straight stairs or are those turned stairs?
Straight stairs.
They are still straight stairs. They're still straight stairs. Okay. Why? Because the stairs are straight. The stairs are straight. The stairs are just straight stairs. What would turned stairs look like? Well, I'm actually having them change that word from turned to curved so that you understand it's like Gone with the Wind, right? It's the big curved staircase. Okay. So each one of those treads looks like a little pie shape. Everybody's still good?
So
Okay.
like spiral stairs?
Yeah, well, so Zach's spiral stairs is just a really, really tight curve.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, spiral stairs would absolutely be curved, but it could just be a big stair. It could be a big staircase, but the stairs look like pie shapes as you go up.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, so boxed
Arlen?
straight. Yes, there's a question.
Oh, just on the number of stairs, are you counting the number of steps you take, not including the top stair? Like that would be the landing, or?
So when I count it, I count the landing as another stair and I count the landing. And the reason I do that is because what am I trying to do? I'm trying to come up with a total cost, right? So I know, let's just use this example where I've got 6 steps and then a landing. Okay, so I've got 6 treads, but I have 7 risers.
Okay.
Okay, because there's an extra riser to get up. And then what am I going to need on the landing? Well, I'm going to need a stair nose on the landing. So I'm going to just go ahead and consider that another step, and that's going to give me the cost I need to do the extra riser and to do the stair nose.
Okay.
And then I'm not worried about putting a transition on the landing because I've already got it covered.
Okay.
All right, so boxed straight.
Sorry, Arlen, is that assuming you're not changing the flooring on the landing?
Well, no, then I'm going to change the flooring on the landing.
So would that just be a room then?
Yep, the landing is a room.
Okay.
The landing is a room, absolutely. All right, so boxed straight means that the stairs are straight and they're not finished on either side, right? It's just a box staircase. You've got single upholstered straight. So the tablet doesn't discern between left and right. It's going to be returned on one end. You've got double upholstered. That's great. Turned, you've got box turn, single upholstered, double upholstered. By the way, in the new revision, they're all going to be in the same order. I don't know why this was originally done this way, where you have single, boxed, double, and then on this side you have box, single, double. It doesn't matter. I mean, it works, but we're going to clean that up. So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to pick this as a box straight staircase. You can always take pictures and whatever else. So let's just hit enter here. I'm going to keep this simple. And now I have a staircase. Great. So we'll add a landing. Why not? So I'm just going to create a square room. And maybe this room is 4 feet by 4 feet because all it is a little landing. And then I hit confirm. And you'll even notice that in the room names, landing is one of the default options. And if I counted an extra step, then I'm not really concerned about putting a transition. So I don't need a door or anything. And I'm just going to go back to, and so now this is what my staircase looks like. It's
So,
not
Arlen,
yes.
I had a quick question, Arlen. So if you're, say like your bottom stairs were like double upholstered open, and then you hit your landing and then you're going to go up another, 90 degrees, but that's all boxed in. You would need to do 2 sets of stairs.
You got it. Now it's two
Okay.
sets of stairs. Yep, 100%. You might have, Mike, you might have, your very first step might be what's called a starter step, where you've got the big, the big rounded part at the bottom, right? Well, then that might be a third one. Okay, so now all of a sudden you've got three representing one thing. So if I hit the dollar sign, we're gonna, I gotta put a subfloor in the landing. I don't have to put a subfloor on the stairs, but I do have to put a subfloor on the landing. There's no furniture on this landing. That's good. All right, good. So now we can go forward. Now, one thing that's very annoying is you can't pick the stairs and the landing at the same time to select the install. Just like you had to pick one room for hardwood and then another room for LVP, it's the same thing. You have to pick the stairs and then the landing. So that's fine. Right now, I'm just focused on the stairs. So I'm going to click on the stairs. I'm going to hit Set Install Info. What is my product type? So what are the options? What can I put on the stairs according to the tablet?
Apparently just
Carpet and
carpet,
hardwood.
hardwood.
I can do carpet, I could do hardwood, or I could sand and finish the hardwood floor that's already there. Well, what about LVP? Well, when the estimating rules were made for the tablet, LVP was not supported on the stairs. And to be honest, I'm still not a huge fan of it. And I didn't come up with the estimating rules, but regardless, I'm still not a huge fan of putting LVP on the stairs, because once you do that, you can never put a carpet runner on the stairs. And I would much rather, there's not a huge price difference between just doing hardwood versus doing LVP. So why wouldn't I actually do hardwood on the stairs, and then I've got some flexibility in the future. You put an LVP tread on the staircase, and a week later, the customer says, hey, this is really slippery. Can you come back and do a carpet runner? And you say, I'm sorry, I can't. It doesn't work because I can't get the staples to hold in an LVP on a carpet runner. So I personally, now this is not a FCI thing. It's not even an industry thing. I personally don't like putting LVP on stairs, but you can do it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It just limits what you can do afterwards. So let's just pick, yes, question.
How do you then, if you have LVP floor and stairs, how would you switch to a different thing?
Well, the LVP floor is fine, and the stairs can be hardwood, and that's fine. And you can get hardwood stairs to closely match the color of the LVP.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So let's pick hardwood just for fun. I'm going to pick hardwood here. And that's fine, because I want you to see what comes in. All right. I get 3 lines. Hard surface freight. Oh, that's great. $3.41 for freight. I think we're fixing that. Okay, good. Box stair wood install. Okay, so my cost, I'm going to pay my installer $55 to install a stair. That's actually a little high, but it's not too high. And then oak stair treads, $40. That's very, very low. That's probably needs to be closer to $80. Okay, so at the end of the day, one stair, one step is probably going to cost me $125 or $150. That means, for those of you doing the quick math, that means that I'm charging my customer probably $250 to $300 per step. Staircases are expensive. When you do hardwood on a staircase, you're, depending on how involved the staircase is, you might be looking at $3,000 or $4,000 just to do the treads. And I'm not talking about the work that a finished carpenter might have to come back and do for balusters and banisters and stuff when you've got returns. And especially if you've got a big starter step and it's got that big bird cage at the bottom, where all those, the circular things at the bottom of the staircase, that's a lot of carpentry work. Your installer's not going to do that. That's going to end up being a finished carpenter that either you bring on to finish the job or that you have your customer hire to finish the job. But you'll be happy to do the stairs for them. Okay, so let me go back to the word placeholder. In the tablet, this pricing that's in here is a placeholder. Now, what I used to do, is I would take and pick what is my normal staircase. Well, my normal staircase is something that's 4 feet wide or less, so 3.5 feet wide, maybe close to 4 feet wide. and it's a boxed straight staircase. And I would set my tablet up so that it had the right labor price for that particular type of staircase, that it had the right stair price for that particular type of tread. And so that way, if I walked into a house and I had a straight boxed staircase, I could quote the price immediately. I don't have to do anything else. But if there was a starter tread, if there were curved treads, if there was something else, then I knew, okay, I need to go out to the van and I need to spend a minute or two on the StairTech website to come up with a price and then plug that price into the tablet here. By the way, how could I do LVP? Like this. I'm going to take exactly what I've got and I'm going to hit the pencil and I'm going to change oak stair treads to LVP treads. And I'll come up here and just say box stair install. I'm not even going to specify that it's LVP. It's just a box stair install. And now when I hit enter, once again, this is a placeholder. So I need to figure out what is my cost to install a boxed LVP and what is my cost to install and what is my cost for the LVP treads and riser. And then plug it all in there together. That makes sense? All right, so how do I determine what the actual price is going to be? How do I determine? You told me that it's a placeholder, fine. Maybe I'm not happy, but you told me it's a placeholder. So now how am I going to figure out what the price is going to be? Well, that's what I have StairTech coming on for. And until they jump on, I'm going to show you that StairTech has two websites. There's a website for the general public, and there's a website that is tied to your account. So if I go to stairtech.com, this is the general, everyday, anybody can get to it website. And it's a good website because it's a great place for terminology. Like you can come up here to Stair Parts on their website, and it's a great place to learn vocabulary because I can come down here and I can say, oh, this is what a tread looks like. This is what a return tread looks like. That's what a retread looks like. Well, what's the difference between a retread and a tread? A tread is normally 1 inch thick. A retread is normally 5/8 of an inch thick. Okay, well, how can I get away with that? Well, a tread has to span across the stringers. A retread is going to sit on top of what was already there. So it's fine. Okay. They've got return retreads, modern retreads. They've got all this stuff. Here's a stair nose. Okay, good. So this is what a stair nose looks like, or a retro nose looks like. They've got different types of, there's your starter treads. So that's a starter tread on one side. This is a quartered starter tread. You got a starter riser. Isn't that kind of fun? Right. So you got all these things. So it's fun to be able to walk out here with your customer and show them vocabulary and pictures. But you have another website, ordermystairs.com. And if you how many of you have actually created an account yet with StairTech? Okay, so have you got, Linda, do you have your Order My Stairs login information and all that stuff?
No, I sent them my information, but I haven't gotten a response yet.
Same.
All right, good.
Same.
All right,
Yep,
so
same.
you're gonna have the man of the hour come on here in just a couple of minutes, and this is the Order My Stairs website, and it's really kind of neat because I can go to Stair Parts and I can order what I need. So let's say we're going to start by choosing our floor. Now this is the most brilliant thing of all with this website. StairTech makes stairs, and I'm going to pick the pre-finished stairs. StairTech makes stairs, and they will stain them to match just about any hardwood floor that you have. And what's really cool is most of the time they already know your names. So for example, Three Rivers is a color by Shaw that's on your Hamlin Hickory board, by the way. Let's see, if I pick, well, we'll stick with Shaw. Why not? Let's just stick with Shaw. as a manufacturer. And then you'll see here's all these different colors that they've already done for Shaw. So it's fine. I mean, you've already got it. Now you might have to look at the Shaw crossover name to find your thing, but like here, Shaw Stokeman Plus. So Mutu, you were asking about an LVP floor, but I want to do the stairs. Well, Stokeman is LVP.
Oh, okay.
Right? But here we can make, let's start a quote with this. Here we can make a tread that looks enough like it. It may not be exact, but it's going to look enough like it. So that's what I'm looking for. Here's my color. Great. And I'm going to say I need a boxed tread and I want a riser. And maybe I have a starter tread. I need a double starter tread at the bottom and a double starter riser at the bottom. Okay. And now I can start working on each one of these. And for example, I don't need a tread. I need a retread. Yeah.
Just a quick question. And so if you're doing a home that's a split level and you've got one step up, or down into the living room or whatever, am I doing these for that riser and considering that like one step in the house?
Yep. That's a step.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So here I go. Let's say that I don't really want any treads. I just want retreads. So I've got a retread. I've got a boxed retread. So let's just do a quick quote on what a boxed retread would cost. And depending on what size it is, so these are my dimensions. If I'm gonna pick a 48-inch wide step, now one thing to note, and this is one of the things I love about this website. These prices already have a 50% margin in them. So that $200 is the cost to your customer. That's not your cost. Your cost will be half of that. So that'll be $100 for that tread for you. Okay, well, that's pretty helpful. That's good to know. Let's see. To get into these double starters, you've got to have some actual dimensions and whatever else. But this is a phenomenal website to be able to price out a staircase while you're in the home. It's not in the tablet. That's okay, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the numbers that I get out of here. I'm going to go back into the tablet and plug the numbers in. What's in the tablet is a placeholder for you to then be able to go in and plug in a number.
Does it save it here someplace for you so
Yes.
that you can? Okay.
Yep. This will save when you create a quote. It'll save it for you, and then you can come back and edit it, or you can come back and go ahead and order it, or whatever you need to do. There was another question. Yes.
Yeah, that was me. What's the difference between, like, let's say you had a box set of stairs. I'm envisioning when I did my stairs here. When I did it, we used the regular hardwood planks, the engineered planks that we did on like the first floor. And then there was just the nose piece that needed to be added to the tip of the stair. When would you do something like that versus like on here, it looks like you can buy that like all in one tread with the nose. I don't know if it's just different manufacturers make them differently, or there actually are some pros and cons.
So, I'm sorry to say, but putting a nose on every tread is really not the right way to do it.
I assume it's like from a structural standpoint.
Yeah, it's from a structural standpoint. When you walk up and down the stairs, your entire body weight gets on that nose, right? Your entire body weight is on the nose. And so what ends up happening over time, that nose will eventually get loose. So I recommend 100% to never put one of those nosings on every tread. Where do the nosings go? They belong at the landing and they belong at the hallway, right? When you get up to the top, right? Whatever that top step is, you have to put one there because you're transitioning into the next space, whether that's a hallway or a room or whatever it is upstairs, or to a landing. I'm going to put a nose at the landing because I have to. I can't do one big piece for the landing. But on the treads, I'm not a believer at all in putting a nose. So let's just take a look at a nose. Here's a nosing. I am not a believer in putting a nosing on every step. Right? I know I picked it. What did I do?
It was on page 1.
I think I saw it on the last.
There we go. Page 1, nosing. I'm not a believer in putting it. Now, if you talk to 10 franchise owners, half of them are going to tell you, yeah, it's fine, it's no problem. Half of them are going to tell you, no, I would never do it because they come loose. The ones that will tell you, no, I would never do it, they come loose, is probably because they've had a customer that complained because one came loose, right? And the ones that say, oh, no, it's not a problem, it's fine, they haven't had a customer complaint yet. One day they might. One day they might not. I don't know. I can't. This is one of those things that I can't say that if you do it this way, it will fail. I can only tell you that if you do it, if you put the full tread on, I know it'll never fail.
Right. Because it was attached at the manufacturer level.
What I will show you, okay, luxury vinyl plank is the same way. You have, there are manufacturers that make LVP to go on stairs, okay? And I would absolutely never, never, never do this.
You could save
I don't want the
hundreds a
sound.
year on groceries at all
Sound
Wait, you
off.
can't believe everything you see on the internet?
Oh, I know. That's hard to believe, right?
Yeah, the internet's never lied to us.
The internet has never lied. Only the people that put stuff on the internet. All right, so what is this guy doing? This guy is, he's doing a phenomenal job doing something that's absolutely wrong, but he's happy and he's filming himself. So he's taking individual luxury vinyl planks and he is gluing them individually onto the tread. All right, so he's gluing individual planks on the tread, and then he's putting one of these weak plastic stair noses to cover the edge. I give this 2 months before one of these comes off, if that long. And I will tell you that building codes, if anybody ever pays attention to building codes in every state have a requirement for how flat your stair has to be from the back all the way to the tip of the tread. And when you do one of these overlap stair nose, you actually violate building codes. Now, I don't know that anybody's ever been called to task on that, but this is absolutely the wrong way to do a staircase. Putting one of these, and I love the way that this is done because, you know, in order to hold this, he's going to use a lot of blue tape to hold these in place until the glue dries. Okay, that's great, but, you know, this is just, it's not right. Now, well, how would I do treads if I actually wanted to do LVP on a staircase? StairTech is going to show you that they have something similar to this. Shaw has something, okay, this is a different company, but it's still Shaw. Treads spelled with a Z. Shaw makes full stair treads out of LVP. So if I was going to do LVP on a stairs, I would do it this way. And I would use the actual luxury vinyl plank tread, not just an individual nose.
Hey, Arlen, question
Yes.
for you. If you close out of that X in one of those pictures, actually, the furthest on the right where it shows what I think is a stair return, but it's got those banisters, specifically on the hardwood. I know we're floor coverings, but how do we price that out? Is that a whole separate project?
Yeah, so that getting the banisters and the balusters and all this stuff done is normally, so with carpet, it's not a problem because your installer will just go around that. Okay, they'll just upholster around it. There's no problem with that. But if you're doing hardwood, all this stuff has to come off. Now this newel post might stay in place, but all the rest of this stuff has to come off. You can't put this around it. Well, as soon as you start ripping all this stuff off, now you're hiring a finish carpenter to come back and finish the job. Okay, well, is that going to be part of your quote or is that going to be something separate? You could do it either way. You could tell the customer, I'm going to do the stairs and then you're going to have to hire a finish carpenter to finish it. You could tell the customer, I'm going to find the finish carpenter for you, but I want you to pay them separate so that it doesn't run through me. Or you could tell the customer, hey, look, I'm going to take care of everything. And then that's fine. That means that not only are you finding an installer, but you're also finding a finish carpenter to do the job. And you're probably going to take 100 pictures of this and send it to the carpenter for him to be able to give you a price so that you can quote it.
That looks costly. Am I
It is.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it is. No question, it is. But, you know, I would venture to say that looking at the after picture, I don't know how much it adds, but it probably added quite a bit of equity to the home versus just carpet on the stairs.
Yeah, it looks good.
So, all right, I've got Scott Brown in the waiting room. I'm going to bring him in and let him continue this discussion around stairs, stair parts, order my stairs, the whole 9 yards. And hopefully Scott is in his studio because I love Scott's studio. If he's in the studio today, I'm a little envious of his studio. I'll just put it that way. Scott, are you with us?
Hi, Arlen.
Hey there.
Yeah, I am not in the studio today.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, I'm just here in my office.
Okay.
Well, Scott, I haven't seen you guys in a while.
It's been a while. So Scott, I've got a big class for you. This is roughly 25 businesses that are going to open their doors here in the not too distant future. And every one of them is just itching to figure out how to do stairs.
Great. That's why I'm here. And I love to talk about stairs for sure.
I'm going to turn it over to you now. Scott, I will tell you that several of them have said, hey, I've tried to reach out and get an account. I haven't gotten a response. So maybe as part of your discussion, you could talk a little bit about how to get an account set up and that sort of thing.
For sure.
Perfect. Thank you. It's all yours.
All right. Sorry. I am not used to. There we go. All right, perfect. Sorry about that. Yeah, thanks, guys. My name's Scott Brown. We have been working with FCI. StairTech has for, 6 or 7 years maybe by now. And so what we do is we offer matching stair treads to pre-finished and now laminate and vinyl floors. So it's super exciting for us. The laminate and the vinyl options are relatively new. There are some options already available to you guys now, as I'll show you here in a minute. But it's really gone well for us with this new addition. We have been matching the wood floors for, well, since we've been doing this 18 years now. So we're pretty good at what we do. And we have really talented people when it comes to matching, other people's floors, basically. So OMS, Order My Stairs, is what we're going to talk about here today. It's really your best tool for quoting and placing an order for those matching stair treads. And it's very simple to navigate. I'll show you, how simple it is really. Getting you logged in, like Arlen was saying, might be the hardest part. And getting your account set up. We recently have gone through some personnel changes to kind of explain maybe why it's taking so long. We have new people in our accounting offices. We lost a couple people on the sales staff as well as the customer service. But we have a great team. We're completely capable of doing everything that we've done. We just thinned down a little bit for various reasons, but the accounting side is, you'll get my email after this or even right here on the top of the home screen, our customer service. Send that email out to them or to me directly, and I'll get those pushed through if you haven't sent it already.
Hey Scott, I think we're seeing wrong screen right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
Just your desktop, just
I apologize. How's that?
much better.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm used to doing the Teams calls, and then Arlen threw at me this I don't know what it's called, this Zoom call, and I'm not used to it. Just kidding, Arlen. So this is the OMS. We'll get you logged in. Once you are logged in, you can have as many folks with your organization have logins for this, because it's really, a very simple, easy tool to place quotes as well as placing that order. Okay. So this being the home screen for OMS, once you're logged in, you'll see different announcements that we might make. And then all of your recent quotes and your recent orders down at the bottom. We're going to make a couple quotes here and you'll see how that works. And then really the ribbon that's here in the middle, these are just thumbnails of maybe the most quoted or most ordered floors. So you can start a quote actually by clicking on one of these floors, like Bruce Natural White Oak. You could start a quote just by clicking there, but most of the time you're going to start a quote by clicking on that start quote button. Okay. But just to go through it at a high level, you'll see that the next tab over here at the top are your different stair parts. These are all the available stair parts. You'll see this look throughout OMS as you're quoting. So no real need to get into this just yet. Again, we'll do it when we start this quote, just showing you these tabs and where they take you. The history tab, also just a more comprehensive or complete list of your stores or your company's quotes and orders. Again, multiple logins is no problem because everybody at your company will see each other's quotes no matter how they log in. So if you have salespeople or office people that need different emails to log in, that's no problem. All right. The product knowledge module, again, a lot of this you'll see throughout the quoting process. But what I like to do is the texture tab that's underneath of the product knowledge. It's going to show you these different images of our textures. Okay. So how this works is that when you have a floor that you need matching stair parts to, you'll either find it in our library already. We have matched over 17,000 different floors to date. Now that list isn't quite that anymore. We'll usually keep a floor for a couple of years and then we'll purge it and get a fresh sample of that floor. But you'll see when we get into the quote that in the library, there's a lot of floors that you have to choose from already. So when we catalog one of those floors into OMS, we are looking at the species, the sheen of the floor, and then also the texture. Okay, so I'm just pointing this out because you don't need to know the difference, for instance, between a light and a heavy resawn texture. It'll already be cataloged, right? But if you create a quote for a customer and they're asking, well, what does it mean that these treads are going to be light wire brushed or heavy resawn? My floors is distressed. It may not have the same terminology. So this would just be a place that you could come to show them that this is what these textures that we're going to apply look like. And we do our very best to match the texture of that floor. Okay. So again, just a place that you might need someday to show a customer what our hand scrape looks like. All right. And then frequently asked questions. If you have, if we're not available and you need to find a question, it might be there under frequently asked questions. The real details are when we start a quote, and let's do that. Let's start a quote just by selecting the start quote button. All right. So there's 3 different types of floors that we match. Unfinished, of course, we offer all of the species unfinished, and so they can site finish them if so desired. The next step, which is actually either a laminate or an LVT type floor, that's what's new. That's what's real exciting, and everybody's buying these now. And then the pre-finished wood. This is where we started. This is what we've been doing for all these years. And we still, of course, do a lot of pre-finished wood. But let's look first at that library. So we're going to start a quote for pre-finished wood. And that takes us to the library where you can either search by a color name or you can filter by the manufacturer and even by the collection, species, sheen. Let's just look to see what I have in here for what is your private label, for instance, Meridian. See what samples we have right now for Meridian. All right, so we have a few. You'll notice that some say sample required, and more than likely we had that at one time and that sample has expired. So what I would need in that case, what you would have to send to me a sample of that floor, and then we would match it. Okay, but because we've already matched it in the past, you can still quote it, but we do have to have a physical sample in order to get a good color match. All right. So let's just choose this Broadway Meridian or Meridian Broadway color. And we are now, you can see there's the picture of that floor. So we are now matching that floor, and these are the available parts in that color. Okay.
Quick question real quick.
Sure. Yes.
You wouldn't have a skewer number for the flooring that you have. If I have to send a sample of the board, wouldn't you have a skewer number for that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't always have the SKUs for them. We mostly go by the manufacturer and the color name. If there's any kind of doubt, or if you're not sure if it's the exact one, send me a couple boards of that floor and we'll match to that floor. Does that answer that?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
also, how long is that order if you do need a sample in order to match? How much extra time does that add to the ordering process versus if it doesn't have that sample required listed?
The only added time is the time it takes for me to get that sample.
Oh, it's just a double check. It's not like then you have to manufacture, etc.
No, that's right. I mean, we make everything to order, so the lead time is going to be the same if I'm matching a brand new sample that you sent to me, or if I'm pulling an old one that I've had for a year. We still, when we're matching those parts, are going off of a wood sample of the floor. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Sure. So let's look at the three, because this list, while it seems like it might be a lot, it really isn't. There really are only three types of treads that we offer: a 1-inch tread, a retread, and a modern retread. Okay, so these are all box treads. First off, what does box mean? Box means that these types of treads are going to be installed in between of two stringers or two walls. Okay. The sides aren't finished. Okay, the left or the right side aren't finished. That's what box means. Okay, so a box tread is a 1-inch thick tread typically used in new construction. Okay, because of its 1-inch thickness, you're able to build a new set of steps with that tread. The other two are remodeling treads. These are designed to go right over top of an existing staircase. For instance, you're pulling carpet off. They're installing this Meridian Broadway floor. These are going to go, these two on the bottom, go right over top of the staircase that's already there. Okay. Most of the time, I believe you're going to be ordering either the modern or that standard retread. So let's look at the middle one, a box retread. And this is what that profile or that tread looks like. Okay. And that is just a matter of choosing your dimensions. And oh, by the way, there's the how to measure. You'll see this type of, these attributes throughout OMS as you're quoting. In the case of a box tread, it's really not that hard. You just have to make sure you're ordering a tread that's long enough, because these are going to be cut to fit. Okay, so you just have to make sure that you're ordering something that's long enough. All right. So then you're just going to choose from those dimensions. This particular floor in white oak is available in 36 inches all the way up to 96 inches. and that's wide. So a 96-inch wide tread, that's a big staircase. Most of the time, you're going to be looking at either a 36 or a 42. Most staircases are in that range of either 36 or 42. So let's quote a 42. What is great about OMS is that, well, first 11.5 is the depth of the tread from the front to the back. And that's the standard dimension on all of our stair treads. From the front of the nose to the back of the stair, 11.5. But with OMS, you're able to customize that and order them all the way up to 18 inches deep if you need to. Okay. It's rare. I think it would be rare for you ever to need something like that. Maybe a 13-inch tread. So let's do the 13-inch just to show you how that changed that price. By the way, that price is with 100% markup. Your cost on that is half. Okay, so your cost on this particular tread, that's a tough one, $93 or so. And then you're just adding the quantities. Okay. Now notice that there is a texture here in the middle. I kind of blew through that. The thickness is 5/8. You can't change the thickness. And then there's a texture. Notice that I can't unselect that. That's shadowed out or grayed out. If this was a texture that was a not required texture, an optional texture, you would have the option to uncheck that. This happens to be one that is a required texture, meaning that we have to have that texture in order to get a good color match. Okay. So in some cases, you might be able to uncheck that, and that might lower the price if that's what you're interested in. Okay.
Todd, I got a question for you here.
Sure.
Since this retread adds a little more than a ½ inch to the height of the stair itself, is that going to require like having to get a new spindles and like banister and baluster, or how do they shorten that for that 0.625 inches there?
Yeah,
Is that pulled out from the top?
No, in the case of an open staircase that has a return end on it, yeah, they're going to have to probably replace all the balusters. If they're wooden, they'll have to cut those out. Most of the time they're just going to cut them out and replace them. But yeah, you're actually adding 5/8 to the height of that for sure.
Okay, I know that's not work we're going to actually do, but we want to make sure we advise the customer that there's a replacement going on here with the railings.
Yeah, and the box tile stair treads are your bread and butter because you don't have to even mess with those. And really, I think most of the time, box treads are, most staircases are a box style staircase. Maybe different for FCI customers, maybe a different category, but you are absolutely correct, and that's a great question. And I'll show you those left return and right return treads here in a second. Okay, so let's add these 12 treads to the cart. We can either be done and go to the cart, or we can go back to stair parts. So we have the treads, of course, the part that you're walking on. We now need the riser. That's the vertical part of the stair that your foot might kick as you're walking up the stair. That's called the riser. Okay. And right now we are quoting this Meridian Broadway. We still have that selected. I like to show because it can be somewhat, if you didn't know it was here, you wouldn't know it was here, right? So this primed white, it's a very popular. In fact, most people in a remodeling situation are going with a white riser. Okay. And so this is where you would switch from the stained, that Meridian Broadway, to a primed white. And then you're just going to do the same and just add your length. Okay. We'll add the quantity of 13. There's always one more riser than there are treads. If there's a landing, there would be 2 more risers than there are treads. Okay, then we'll just add that to the cart.
Well, if you're not actually like replacing a carpet surface with a wood surface, suppose they're just putting a new wood surface in, why does the riser have to be replaced?
Doesn't have to
get damaged in the change out, or what?
No, you don't have to replace the riser. If you're the way that these are supposed to be installed, well, there's different ways to install these. If you do not want to replace the riser, then you're going to have to cut the nose off of the existing treads. And then you can just add this new retread and it'll hide the old tread that you cut off. So you absolutely could keep the old risers if you wanted. Most people don't. Most people replace that, go right over top of that old riser. And I'll show you that at the end on that installation method and the differences. Okay. Okay, so we have the risers. The last part that we're going to need is the stair nose. So just like the treads, we have 3 different types of nosings, right? 3 different profiles. The one in the middle, the retro nosing, would be the matching profile for what we have selected. Of course, this would match the 1-inch bull nose of a 1-inch tread. Then the modern profile, that's the nosing for it. So let's continue with this particular profile and select the nosing for it. Again, we are still quoting that Meridian Broadway. That part is $122.36 retail. And this is very important. Right now from StairTech, the only thickness of nosing that we offer is 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So of course the front is 1-inch bull nose with that same decorative coving like the tread. But in the back, you can kind of see it, but in the back, it has the tongue and groove to accept it has the groove to accept the tongue from tongue and groove flooring. Okay. But it's 3/4 of an inch thick. Everything from us is going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. If you needed something that was, 1/2 inch or 5/8 or something other than that, you may have to use the nosing from the flooring manufacturer. Okay. That's just how it is right now. Could this be turned on its edge and ripped to a different dimension, making this, for instance, a 1/2 inch thick? Yeah, it could. And I would say most installers would be able to do that. But just know 3/4 of an inch thick on all of our nosing currently. Okay. All right. So we'll add that to the cart. We now have every piece for this customer in order to cover their steps. And we are just about done with this quotes, but let's look first. If you wanted to add a comment to this, you can right here. An attachment, maybe an image if you needed to send me an image. And then the ship to address. Where do you want this to be shipped? Select the shipping type. We leave this up to you as well. For this particular order, you have the option of FedEx Ground or FedEx Freight, and it automatically calculated that freight for you. All right. One note, we do not mark up the freight, so this would be your cost on freight. All right. So FedEx Ground is the less expensive option. FedEx Freight LTL, what that means is that this order would come to you on a pallet. Okay. Sometimes people will choose to go the LTL route, feeling it might be a little safer if you got custom sizes and maybe even longer lengths. It may be better to go with the FedEx Freight, but it will always calculate it for you, so you can choose by price which one you prefer. So let's go with FedEx Ground. By the way, we ship hundreds of packages every day in small packages, so our packaging is good. Feel confident about that. And now you'll see that with what we have on here, these treads and risers, it gave us a delivery time of 21 to 25 calendar days. Okay, so that's a pretty good lead time, especially, we probably added a day or two to make these treads 13 inches instead of 11.5. And then the wire brushing probably added a day as well. Okay. So 21 to 25 days, and then it's just a matter of saving this as a quote. You'll type your name and the customer's name and their phone number, email, and then you save it. So now that quote, if you wanted to download it, maybe you want to print this off and give this to your customer or email it to them, you're able to do that here. Again, this is retail dollars. This is full 100% markup. And then it's just a matter of selecting OK. And now that quote lives here on your home screen at the bottom under recent quotes. Okay. So that, again, so that was just a simple quote. We did make it a little bit custom, but you can see, I don't know if you caught that total, we'll look at it again. It's a great way to add to your bottom line. And these things, I mean, they're easy to sell, in all honesty. They're easy to sell. And really, when we get in, when we talk about lamb here in a second, those are even easier to sell because their price point's so good. But let's say you've given this quote to your customer and they call back the next day. Anybody from your company can access this quote if they have access to OMS. Go to that quote number and it takes us right back to where we were. Okay. We could still modify. Maybe they decided they didn't want that nosing, or they wanted to change the risers to matching risers. You're still able to modify this quote. Okay. So we're back where we were. We can either update it if we made any changes, or we can now submit it as an order. So simply selecting that submit order. And you now have made your first order with StairTech. Okay. We get that email. When you do that, we'll get that email. Our customer service department or sales department will get that. And as soon as we push that into production, the status down at the bottom will change to say in production. And then after in production, it will change to a shipping status, and then finally a delivered status. Okay. Any questions? That was we just did our first order. Does it seem pretty simple so far? Any questions? All right, let's talk then next about the next step, laminate and LVT option. So we have quite a few floors that are available to you guys already. And you can see all the different manufacturers. So there's no need to send me samples for these. We already have them. They're already here. So let's look at them. And again, this is going to work just like it worked with the wood. We have that AHF Autumn Wave floor. And let's look at the modern profile. All right, so this is cooler. It happened that I picked the wrong floor on the wood, but this is how most of the time it's going to work for you, where you can spin that around and kind of look at it. But this is that floor made into a stair tread to match. Okay. And these are currently only available in a 48-inch length, one size. Okay. And 11.5, again, being the standard dimension. You cannot change the depth on these because they are made of MDF on the top. Then the thickness is 3/8 instead of 5/8. That's how they're different than the wood retreads. All right. Let's look a little bit more at it. So how it works when I get a box of this flooring from you or from Arlen, we lay that floor out, right? We lay it out on the floor. We get a high def image from above of it. And then we Photoshop the lines, the flooring lines that are there. And we create a file that's so large that it's 10 foot by 4 foot printed. And by the way, we do everything in-house. We aren't contracting anybody to do our printing for us. That was the case years ago, but we made the investment about a year ago, a $2 million investment to do all the printing in-house. And that's how we were able to open this up to FCI, is that I can make just 12 of these now. For this order, I can make just 12 because I control what we print, right? We used to have to order a select color or print in a 1,000-foot roll of vinyl that we would then wrap. And that worked great for our big box customers. But for smaller companies, to have 500 colors of, rolls of vinyl on there, it just we couldn't do it, right? But that's all changed. About a year now we've been doing it, so that you send me a box of floor, I can make just 12 treads. So when we get that vinyl, we wrap these treads, And the front nose of this tread is different than any other vinyl or laminate stair nose or tread that you might have seen, because that front nose is made of real wood. And that's important because, for one, it's durable. You know, your foot kicking on that all day, it's never going to crack. It's real wood. But also, which is another selling point, is that if your customer wanted to put a carpet runner down the middle of this staircase, maybe now or maybe sometime in the future, that wood nose will hold a staple or a nail, and you know, so that they could actually, you know, put a carpet runner down there. So just again, another benefit of it. And these are, you know, again, real good match because of the size of that vinyl, or of that image. You'll never have two stair treads that are the same, because of the size of that file. So this knot right here in the middle of this tread, you're not going to have that same knot in every tread, okay? Because that file moves as we're printing. It moves not only, of course, lengthwise, but then up and down, so that that dot, you may not have it anywhere in the tread, but it will never be in the same spot. Okay.
Scott,
yes.
Just a quick question, just in the LVP world here. So these are called treads because there is no such thing as a retread in this category, right?
Well, you might find discrepancy on what we're calling. They are, in all intents and purposes, retreads.
Because you're never,
right.
yeah, because they're always putting them on top of an existing flooring there.
That's correct. Because I agree with you on this. This should probably say a modern retread right there at the top, so that can be confusing. But yes, in the laminate world, it's only remodeling treads or retreads in either profile.
Okay, just wanted to check. Thank you.
All right, so as you can see, full retail is 102.10. Your cost is 51.05. That is a fantastic price. You guys are cheaper than anybody. You really are. You're cheaper than the big box stores, and they sell all day long. Any questions about it? It's easy to sell, it really is, especially the box style. But let's go back and look at. Let's talk about that issue. Yes, ma'am.
I have one more question. Sorry. So if somebody picks that box style, the modern box style, but their existing tread on the step is some other kind of different nose, do we have to remove that nose in order to put this on, or how does that work?
Nope. Basically you'll shim it out. Let's see how good I am about going out of sequence. I touch on this usually at the end, but since you brought it up. So what I'm showing here is representing, I don't know how well you can see my cursor, but this is representing the original stair tread after you've taken carpet off, and then this being that original riser. So some people will still cut that overhang off, that inch and a quarter overhang. They'll cut that off and square it up. What we like to show is that the easier way, the easier way as far as speed and cleanliness, you're not using a saw at all, but shim it out. So that inch and a quarter, using 2 half-inch shims and then a new 3/4 inch riser, you basically squared that off, and now your new retread just drops right over top. And you see that the old tread was rounded, and this one just drops right over top. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
The only time I would say that you would have to cut that overhang off would be if this white stringer wasn't tall enough, and then that new tread would come out beyond the white stringer. Then you would want to cut that off. Makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's look at let's address the question about the return ends. Okay, so this is a left return stair tread. And so what do we mean by left return and right return? Means that this staircase is open on this left side. You always determine left or right by facing the staircase, not coming down. So facing it and looking up, this left side of the staircase is open. So there are balusters you know, like Mike was asking, there's balusters that are installed right into the top of this stair tread. Okay, that's what we call a left return or a left open staircase. And of course, we offer them in the right side, or even both, double return treads. In the case of a left return tread, you would just cut the right side to fit. Okay, so when you're ordering these, well, of course, there's only one size, but 48-inch left return tread, that's going to be long enough to cover just about any staircase that you'll ever come across. Okay.
Are those banisters or balusters glued then when they install them? How do they? What's that process?
Well, usually they are. You're going to want to take the old ones out, and usually they are epoxy down into a hole. Yes.
Okay.
That's right. So yeah, you just cut them off at the base and then underneath of the handrail, and then just drill through these down into the old tread, and then into the top of the handrail. So yeah, there's more involved to that, of course, a lot more.
I would say, guys, that normally, if you're taking handrails down and you're taking balusters and banisters and all that stuff down, there's a really good chance that all that's going to get replaced with new stuff. It's very rare that you're going to be able to reuse any of that stuff.
Right. So this is a double return. Okay, open on both sides. So as you know, or as you can understand, we need exact dimension for this because you can't cut this to fit. All right. So when you're quoting these, we need what they call a throat dimension. Okay, that is the dimension that is in between those return ends on the sides. Okay, let me blow that up. So the return end, oh goodness. So the inside of this return end measured to, sorry, it's been a while, to the left side, that's the throat dimension. Goodness sakes, I'm so sorry. All right, so we're going to need exact dimensions. So 43 1/8, for instance. Okay, 43 1/8 inch throat is going to make this tread 45 1/8 overall. And that's because those return ends are 1 inch wide. So the overall is going to be 45 1/8. But the important dimension that we need is that throat dimension. Okay. Then, like the others, it's just a matter of adding them to the cart, and then just checking out like we did on that wood order. Any other questions about the laminate or the vinyl world? Super exciting with it. I mean, I don't know how excited you are with it, but for us, it's been a home run. We are so busy with it, and yeah, the price is fantastic. We sell a lot of these things. And we have a pretty good library for you guys too. You know, when we first started, Arlen sent us quite a few of your samples that we've added to the library, and that library grows granularly, right? I mean, when you send me a box of flooring, that adds that color to the library. Now everybody can order that floor. And so on and on, that library grows fast. And again, if you need something matched that's not on there, let me know and we'll get a box of that flooring. Okay. All right. If no other questions about that, then what I like to do next is jump straight to the most complex part that OMS will quote for you. And that would be a starter tread or a double starter tread. Okay. With this tread, it's only available in wood. Of course, we don't make anything in vinyl like this. But what is a starter tread and what is a double starter tread? So you'll find these on OMS. And this is one in the middle is probably one you're used to seeing, maybe even have it in your own house. But it's called a starter tread, and in this case, a double starter tread, because there's probably a post mounted right into the top of this tread on the right side and on the left side. And there, once you know the dimensions to look for, it's not that hard to get a quote for. The other two, the one on the top is what we call reversible starter tread. We just had so many people asking if we could make this so that they could cut that throat dimension out themselves in the field. So we made it available. The quarter tread, rather than being fully rounded on the right side and on the left side, it's just quartered instead. But again, most of the time, I think you'll be looking at a double starter tread like this. So there's some terms here that we haven't talked about yet. I'm gonna try to blow that up. So you have what they call a turnout depth. That is the dimension that's the largest part of that rounded, turnout side, or the rounded starter side on the right and on the left. That's called turnout depth. Here's another example of a throat dimension. It's the dimension between those two turnouts. The tread depth, again, standard is 11.5. We can customize this to be whatever, but it's from the front to the back. And then the overall length. Okay, so with those 4 dimensions, you can quote this for your customer. And these are available in unfinished, like we talked about, or pre-finished to match, that meridian floor that we had. But let's look a little bit deeper on what's here. So how to measure for this? Well, we know the terms now. And you can see here, that's an image of what that starter tread looks like. But there's a dimension that we need to remember, especially when we get to the riser, is that a tread overhangs the riser that's below it, usually by 1.25 inches. Okay, so this first tread overhangs this starter riser by 1.25 inches. Okay, so just something to keep in mind when we go to make this quote. There's this great files button takes you to a PDF. Maybe print some of these off and take them with you, or leave these with your installer or whoever's measuring. That's there for you if you need it. Let's just put some dimensions in, and I'm just going to make these up. Okay, I'm going to make these up. So let's make the overall length to be 59 1/8. We'll make the throat dimension 41 3/8. A turnout depth of 16 1/4. We'll do the standard tread depth of 11.5. And then the thickness is going to be always 1 inch. All right, so with those dimensions, this one stair tread is $435. Okay, remember, your cost is half. So you really want to make sure that we have these dimensions correct. This live preview button, based on those dimensions that I inputted, it draws that tread for us. Okay, so if you're working via email, it's a nice screen to screenshot and email away. Or if you're working with the customer and you put those dimensions in and this was wrong, they're going to know right away that this was wrong. Okay, especially if I superimpose some of these, this would be all messed up. You would know right away that you made a mistake. So that live preview button is just a way to check your work and make sure that we have it right the first time. All right, so when it's good, you just add that to the cart. And now we either can be done or suggesting an item. And I would say almost always when you're ordering a starter tread, you're going to need the starter riser. Okay, again, the riser is the part that tread's going to sit on top of. Okay, now that 1.25 inch overhang that we talked about, the tread is 1.25 inches bigger than the riser all the way around. So with those difficult fractions that I inputted for the tread, this auto configure button does all that hard math for us just by selecting it, confirming the match to that tread, and it did all that hard math for us. And now this riser is going to be 1.25 inches smaller all the way around. Okay. And that riser's $391. Again, feel good about your pricing because your pricing's good. It's good. Any questions about that? Because again, that's probably the most involved part on OMS that you could order. Can we make other dimensions or larger treads or different shapes? Absolutely. But that would be a different process, probably an email and a call to me, and we would have to get templates maybe made up of say you have a staircase that's winding, like the Gone with the Wind staircase, or something that has radiuses in them. You know, we can make those parts. You just can't quote it on OMS. We would have to do that manually. Okay. And that's it. That's if you can get that, you can get it all. So if there aren't questions about that, I like to show these because this is super important. So I went to stair parts again, and down at the bottom, you'll see these accessories. There's 2 accessories on here, and they're extremely important, especially the glue. And so when these parts are being installed, it is absolutely necessary for the installer to use a urethane-based adhesive. You cannot use anything that's water-based, because what will happen is that raw wood, the bottom of those stair treads, or that MDF, it's going to draw the water that's in that glue right out and into its wood fibers, and that wood will cup and it will probably crack and be ruined. So you want to make super clear to the installers to use a urethane adhesive. There are plenty others out there on the market. Just make sure that what they use is urethane based. Okay. You don't want to get that call, they used the wrong glue. The customer woke up the next day and all of her treads were cracked and basically ruined. You don't want to get that call. It's not a fun one. The other accessory is a tread tool. This tool, I believe, is a $20 tool for you guys, maybe even less than that. But what it does, and because I'm on the wrong screen, I am a little out of source. But first, oops. So with that 10-ounce tube of glue that I was showing, this will be the coverage when you're gluing down the treads. So one 10-ounce tube will cover 3 42-inch treads. Okay. This isn't something that you full coverage trowel down or anything like that. You're using this wavy or zigzag pattern when you're gluing these down. Okay. Let's see let's talk about the tool. So this is that tool in action, and for $20, I believe, what you get are those 2 plastic ends. And what he's doing there is he's creating a template basically of every step, you know, because each one's going to be a little bit different. You can't just get a measurement of 46 inches and cut them all to 46 inches, because that won't work. He has to capture the angle on both the right and the left side, because while you would think they should be 90 degrees, and they should be, they never are. You know, they're 89 or they're 91. So he's capturing that with this tool. Okay. And from there, he would then take that tool to the saw, to the new tread, trace that template onto the new tread, cut to the line, and then those new treads drop in. Okay. And for $20, anybody that's covering a staircase should have one of these. There are others out there on the market, none more effective than this one, and the others are in the hundreds of dollars for their types of tools. So great value. It's super effective. Everybody should be using one of those, because a sign of not a very good install is not using a tool like this and having the caulk on the right side and on the left side because you cut it wrong, and then there's a big bead of ugly caulk. It's a sure sign that it wasn't done by or somebody needs practice, or they need to just buy this $20 tool. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Actually, do you see most people providing that for their installers, or just requesting that the installers use it? How does that typically work?
I mean, I would say that if you presented that to your installer, he's going to want one for everybody that he employs. So yeah, I mean, however that works for you, I think most installers are going to get one. If they don't have a solution, or if they're new to stair treads, you show them this and they're gonna praise you. Because remember, when they are using the method like we showed earlier of this, those installers are going to cover a set of steps in half a day. I mean, definitely less than a day. And at the going rate of, I think at nowadays it's $150 for sure, is what guys that are installing per step for labor, $150 a tread. If you're getting less than that, feel blessed, because like everything, it's gone up, but even for years now, that's what people are getting, $150 for labor, which is crazy because they can cover that set of steps in a half of a day. So you can do that math when we're done, figure out if you want to get into that business. But yeah, with this method of not cutting that off, because you don't have to, if you did decide you wanted to cut that off, and then you have to deal with the original tread that's rabbited into that white stringer. So now you have to patch that and repaint it and sand it and paint it again. You don't have to do any of that with this method. Okay. So with that tool, with the pre-finished treads, with the glue, it's boom, 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 13 treads and risers, and you're out of there pretty quick. Any questions? Man, I must have fit. I think I'm early. It usually takes me the whole hour.
Arlen, I have a quick question. I think is more for you. It's just that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which, you want me to finish?
Yes.
I just had a quick question. So we go into OMS, we get our quote, we've got all our information. Then your suggestion is then we take that information and put it back into our tablet.
Right.
As part of our other proposal. And then we're going to show our cost with the margin and all of that and import it into our tablet that way. Show it to the customer, get their approval, and then come back in here and approve the quote. Okay.
And frankly, I'd just try to make it really, really easy, and which is why you only have 3 lines. So one, what is my freight cost going to be? Well, that's there. Okay. Put that in. What is my cost for the stairs? And instead of having 16 times a number, whatever, look, just take the quote that you got at a StairTech, cut it in half, because you know that that's your cost, plug that in as your cost, and then let it hit the 50% margin again, right? So just make one staircase, and then that's what you end up with, right? Instead of worrying about, this is an oak tread, oh my God, what am I going to do? Just it's a lump sum price. I'm going to pay $1,500 for all the material on this. I'm going to pay $1,500 for the labor on all this, and then there's going to be freight. Good. You have material, you have labor, freight. That's all you need. So the fact that it's a placeholder, on the one hand, especially for somebody that's brand new, it's a little frustrating, because it's like, well, why isn't all this in the tablet? Well, okay, but we could put it all in the tablet. And actually the task force is trying to put a lot of this in the tablet, but that's going to end up meaning that you're going to have to maintain a much bigger mobile accessories and labor price list. Now you got a bunch of stuff that you got to put in there. Okay. On the other hand, keeping it simple like this just gives you a ton of flexibility. Use StairTech's tool to come up with the cost, and then just plug the number in. And it's not that hard.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there was another question.
Yeah, it's pretty, if you just keep that in mind, that your costs because there's only one size, and when you're talking about laminate or LVT, which I don't know how much of that you're doing, but your cost being about $50 per tread, that's pretty easy math, really, all the way around, because you can only get in a 48, and the color doesn't change the price. Now, I believe that there's some pennies difference between the traditional profile and that modern profile. The modern profile might be $1 more or something. Yeah, I would think that would be a number to keep in mind, right? That a tread is $50 if you're talking about laminate or an LVT floor.
Liz, you had a question.
Yeah, I think in the quote that we did, it looked like the lead time was like 3 to 4 weeks. Is this typically kind of the longest lead item of everything that we're ordering. I'm just trying to think of the lead time of presenting the proposal to when we can tell the customer we'd be able to start their project. And then I know, these could be hardwood, so do we need to let the stairs kind of acclimate, or because they're each only one, can we almost like start the job, have the FedEx come right to that person's house, and then the stairs are the last thing to get installed to finish the project, and hopefully right at that 4-week mark?
So I'm gonna tell you, if you're in, how do I put this? If you're in normal weather conditions, you probably don't have to worry about acclimation too much because it is just one piece. But if I'm in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, you know what? I might stick them in the house for a day or two, and just, it's not going to hurt to put them in the house for a day or two before we install them. Again, Donovan's up in Wyoming. He probably doesn't have to acclimate anything. He's just going to go in and knock himself out. But I think for places with high humidity, I probably do want to do at least a little bit of acclimation. Now, in terms of the lead time, it's going to sort of depend. If Shaw or AHF or Mohawk has the floor in stock, you can probably get it in a week, and then the stairs are the last thing to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that you wait for the stairs. You could go ahead and do the floor. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do the floor and then do the stairs on another trip. You could wait. So that's going to be between you and the customer to figure out how to work the schedule. I will tell you that StairTech's lead time is pretty consistent. I mean, when they say it's 3 weeks, it's 3 weeks. When they tell you, oh, we're backed up and it's going to take 6 weeks, well, then it's going to end up taking 6 weeks. The feedback that I've gotten is that they are actually, they're pretty forthright and transparent with this is how long it's going to take.
Yeah, it's just to touch on that a little bit. We have been super busy since October. And if anybody had any experience, or maybe some of your existing, they may say, my God, no, they're way late. They're way late. We are at a good place now. It just took, I'm calling myself out on it a little bit, but I am comfortable that the 3-week lead time is good. If we see there's an issue or that we're overwhelmed or over busy, that lead time will change. We'll adjust it. But what you see on here is pretty accurate. And for simple orders, whether it was that wood order or box treads in the laminate, 3 weeks is no problem at all. If there were return ends on the lamb, by the way, we're the only people that do that. We actually install that return end for you. And that's not an easy thing to do. So we do add some lead time for return ends on the laminate products. But again, OMS is going to give you that lead time, and we're good about keeping that transparent on where we're at with that. I never can control getting a sample. It really doesn't take us very long. If it's a brand new vinyl sample and I got to get an image and we got to Photoshop and we have to, it may add a couple extra days to that, having a new floor entered, but really not significant at all.
Let's see, we've got Mutu and Sally, and then I'm going to need to let Scott get on to the rest of his day. Mutu,
Yeah, we didn't talk about the landing. So where do we get that?
Well, the landing is going to be whatever flooring you're using. So like Scott said, you have a floor that you're trying to match to, the landing is going to be the floor.
Okay.
Okay, what StairTech is going to provide is going to be for the stairs. So you might be doing the floor from Shaw, from AHF, from Mohawk. So you're buying the floor from Shaw, and then you're putting floor on the landing, and then you're getting the stairs maybe from StairTech.
And landing does have the nose. We have to fit the nose as well, right? In the landing.
Yeah, for the landing, you would have a nose.
Right. Where to buy from where?
And the nose, I would suggest getting the nose from whoever you're getting the floor from.
Okay.
They're going to have a matching nose for that floor. And that way, if it's an engineered floor, you can get the engineered height instead of the 3/4 inch height from StairTech. I would get the nose from whoever I'm getting the floor from, and I'd get the treads from StairTech. Sally, let's get yours and then we're gonna have to move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate something that Linda said, or the question. We always put, if we have to put in things like this from the outside of our tablet, we always put it in at 50% because anything we put in is always going to be doubled.
Well,
Or
you don't
whatever,
have to.
whatever our margin is.
Whatever you decide your margin is. So
Okay.
like in the case of StairTech, it's a nice thing to be able to pull that up in front of the customer, build it in front of the customer and know that your margin is already there, right? Now, you know that that margin is set. It's 100% markup. It's a 50% gross margin, depending on how you want to do, however you look at it, right? It's a 50% margin. So you can decide, you could take the StairTech number and, you know, you cut the number in half so that you know exactly what your cost is, plug that number into your cost, because you can't put the price in the tablet. You have to put the cost in the tablet. You put that in as your cost, and then when it runs the 50% margin, you're right back to the StairTech number. But you might decide, for whatever reason, you might decide to tell the customer, hey, look, I can get a discount, blah, 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 and you decide to put it in at 45 instead of 50. That's up to you. But the StairTech website has a 50% margin. You're going to take and cut that number in half to put the number in your tablet and then let it hit your margin in the tablet.
Is it possible to change a margin on just one section of your project?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. When you hit the little pencil, then you can change the margin on each individual line, however you want to change it.
Okay.
Good. Well, Scott, I appreciate it as always, you being on with us.
Thanks for
big
having
group.
me.
Thank you for that. Guys, I have one more thing to share with you, and that means homework. Yep, homework, always.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
In the next, for your next little proposal here, yeah, we're going to pull stairs into it. Why not? We just learned about them, so let's do them. Write a proposal for a friend or family member. Now I'm getting several, I'm getting several of these where you're measuring your own office space or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But now I'm going to challenge you. Get into somebody's house, right? Not your own house, not, not your own warehouse. Get into a person's house. This is part of the challenge, is to start walking around other people's houses. So get into another person's house, write a proposal for a friend or family member, minimum of 2 rooms. For the floor, we're just going to do laminate. For the stairs, okay, for the stairs, I want to do hardwood on the stairs. So I'm not asking you to put laminate on the stairs. I'm asking you to put hardwood on the stairs. Same as before, create the customer, roll through the whole thing, sync your tablet, and send me the proposal name or the project number. Laminate, again, just a PG3 laminate is fine. And you should, I don't think I have it in here, but you should start to fill out the laminate portion of your sample sheet. So get all your laminate boards out of the van and start categorizing your laminate pieces as well. I think everybody was on except for Charlotte. There's some people that dropped off right here at the end. Here's your makeup word. The night I punched Russell Crowe. Again, there's points for not only points for where it came from, but extra points if you know the story of the story behind it. So that'll be interesting to look up. Your next call is going to be with Alan. So I won't see you I will see you tomorrow for Inspired Sale, but I won't see you on Thursday unless I just decide to eavesdrop on Alan. But he's going to work through goal setting and review with your office manager. So, I mean, it's just you on the call, but this is how you hold your office manager accountable. Sally, your hand's up. Is that another question?
Well, I forgot to lower it, but I do have another question.
Yes.
Do you have Scott's email address?
I believe it's sbrown@stairtech.com. Let me double check that. But I believe that's right. S Brown. Yes. sbrown@stairtech.com.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Arlen, just a quick question. If it's a carpeted stair for the hallway, is it just such a small amount that it doesn't matter? Or is it included in the price of the stair? How does that part work?
So if you're putting carpet on the stairs, you'll draw the hallway.
Removing carpet, replacing with hardwood is what I was thinking.
Okay, so right, because you only get 3 lines, right? There's not a removal cost in the tablet. So I'm going to put that in with my installation cost. So if my installer charges me $5 to, or $5, that'd be a dream. If my installer charges me $50 to install the tread, I might actually put $60 in there and kick another $10 for the removal of the carpet. So it's just going to all be part of that labor line.
So it's just something you discuss with them when you're asking for their prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
And
that's part of it. Yep.
Arlen, similarly, so when we're doing this stair quote, if we don't have access to the, Order My Stairs website, go to the consumer facing site and try to do a guess?
I mean, for this homework exercise, I'll give you a little bit of a pass. And I won't look that much at the price itself. I'm more concerned about you going through the motion and figuring out how to do all this in the tablet. But I would put some pressure on yourself to get that StairTech website, to get that account set up as quickly as you can.
Already followed up with them.
Perfect. Okay, team, I know everybody's got a ton of stuff to do. I don't want to hold you any longer than you need to, but oh, look, Liz has got it over here. She's on top of it. She is on top of it. Good stuff, Liz.
Glad you saw it.
Yep. All right. I will see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Inspired Sale. Take care.
Bye, everyone.